Hello again, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I'm the curator of live animals here at the Boonshoff Museum of Discovery, and today I'm on our mid-mark discovery stage with Aurora, one of our eastern box turtles. And Aurora here is an animal you could see right here in Ohio. So eastern box turtles are a native Ohio species, meaning that we do see them quite often here in Ohio. And actually this time of year is when they're starting to wake up from their hibernation, so you might see them moving around a little bit more. They start waking up from hibernation this time of year, and the females and males will start moving around. They'll start mating and breeding and actually start laying eggs. So they'll be moving around quite a bit this year. If you see one in the road, I always say, just pick them up like a sandwich and move them over to the other side of the road. This is not a snapping turtle, but I will say turtles have pretty sharp beaks, so you don't want to get bit by a turtle, but as long as you hold them just like a sandwich, watch out for the head, you can just move them to the other side of the road. But even though this is a turtle, she is not a very good swimmer. So this is a type of turtle that's actually a land turtle. It's not a tortoise, but it is technically not a water turtle. It is a land turtle. So if you look especially at Aurora's feet here, you'll notice she has very long claws. She does not have webbing between her toes. Her feet are not paddle shaped, so she is a very poor swimmer. So eastern box turtles, they like puddles. They like small pools of water, but they're very, very bad swimmers. So usually we're going to see them mostly in like the metro parks here in Ohio. Different types of forested areas, especially marshy forest areas, are usually where you're going to see eastern box turtles here in Ohio. But you might even see them in your very own backyard. We actually get them here around the museum quite often. So they're one of our most common types of turtles that we'll see here in Ohio. And they come in lots of different colors. So Aurora is kind of a typical box turtle coloration. You can see that really beautiful kind of almost like a cheetah pattern here with that yellow and black color. And if you look closely at her eyes, you might notice they're red. Now usually that means it's a male box turtle. So if you find a box turtle, if it has red eyes, it's probably a male or a boy box turtle. And usually the females have more like yellowish or orangish colored eyes. But Aurora, we do know, is a female. She's actually laid eggs before, so that's really the only way we can know for sure if some of our reptiles are male or female. So Aurora's a little bit unique having those red eyes, but usually the males do have red eyes. The females have more kind of brownish or yellowish eyes. And box turtles are omnivores, so they eat lots of different types of plants and animals. Now when they're younger, they're more carnivorous, so they mostly eat things like worms, insects, even roadkill. They'll eat just about any kind of meat they can find. But as they get older, they become more herbivorous. So as they get older, they're eating things like mushrooms, berries, different types of plants that they could find in the forest here in Ohio. So here at the museum, we do feed them kind of a turtle salad that has lots of different fruits, veggies, some meat mixed into it, some vitamins that keep our turtles nice and healthy. And Aurora is around probably about 10 to 15 years old. She might be a little older than that. So she's actually a fairly young box turtle. Box turtles can live an incredibly long time. Usually they live in the wild about 60 to 80 years. If a box turtle gets to be 15 to 20 years old, chances are it's going to live 60 to 80 years. But the first few years of their life are the most difficult. When they're in their nest, in the egg, they don't have their parents around to guard the nest. So mom does not take care of her babies. She lays her eggs and then she gets out of there. She doesn't help take care of the babies. So a lot of times those babies or those eggs will get dug up and eaten by raccoons, opossums, skunks, and other animals like that. And then when the box turtle first hatches, their shell is somewhat soft feeling. So a lot of animals will eat box turtles just when they come out of the egg because their soft isn't quite hard enough yet. But box turtles have an extra special shell. So underneath here, they've got this hinge. And what that hinge does is it helps them close themselves into a box. So you can see Aurora here, she's probably not too afraid of me here, so she's not going to close herself in because she's not too afraid. But what she'd do is she'd pull her head in, pull her feet in, and you can see I can actually press up on that shell. She could actually close her shell into a box, so that's why they're called box turtles. And I have heard no animals can break through their shell. So even raccoons, skunks, coyotes, once they close their shell into a box, those animals can't break into it. So their shell is extra amazing. All turtles have a shell, which is made of bone. It's covered in the same stuff your fingernails are made of, which is keratin. And their shell is very hard, and that's what makes them so slow. Their shell is very, very heavy, very hard, which is why turtles are so very slow. But only box turtles have that hinge. So box turtles are turtles, but they have kind of an extra special trick with that little hinge underneath their shell there. And when they're babies, they actually don't get their hinge until they're about 10 years old. So again, when they're babies, that's when they're the most vulnerable to being eaten by predators. They can be hit by cars as well. But once they get to be full grown, they're probably going to live at least 40 years, maybe up to 80 years in the wild. The oldest box turtle actually lived to be 130 years old, and that was a wild box turtle. So they can live an incredibly long time, especially if they don't have to worry about cars or dogs or any of those other dangers. That's the biggest threat to adult box turtles is actually our cars. That's one of the biggest things here in Ohio that can break through their shell. Most other things can't get through that really tough shell here. And Aurora has lived here at the museum for about 10 years now. So she has lived here for quite a while. She's another one of our ambassador animals we can bring out for people to meet and touch. Thank you guys so much for joining me and Aurora today. If you are driving around, keep an eye out for box turtles this time of year because they are moving around, starting to lay their eggs and migrate from place to place. And enjoy the rest of your day.